What's going on, guys? Jay the Black here. Salute to everyone tuning in. We're going to talk about Joe Budden. We're going to talk about him coming to the defense of Melyssa Ford after some stupid comments she made in regards to Camron and Mase. Now, he wants to throw his cape on and jump into the fray because she's been getting roasted all over social media. We all know what Cam had to say. I did a video on it. I'll link it in the description box. Cam had every right to respond to Melyssa Ford's assertion that him and Mase may have hooked up with an under 18 escort back in the 90s when they were young. And that was a story that Cam told on the It Is What It Is podcast, right? With him and Mase. And then for Melyssa Ford to make this particular statement on your platform, Joe, you need to hold her accountable. But you put yourself into it because you have to be a Captain Save a Heifer because of all the allegations that women have made against you, Joe. Joe, we've heard all types of allegations about what you've done to women. We haven't heard any allegations about what Camron has done to women. And again, I don't have anything against Joe at all, but I think Joe should have held Melyssa Ford more accountable than he did. But you see, it's easy to go at Camron, right? Because Camron, you know, he's like, no, I'm not about to just let this go after apparently she apologized to him. Right? And when I look at everything, when I look at how much you have Camron doing his own thing, him and Mase, and then you got this woman here, Melyssa Ford, who really has nothing to say when she's on the show. A complete waste of space. And again, I have nothing against her, but when you bring a lone woman into a conversation with a bunch of men, it's very boring. Okay? It is. I don't want to see a conversation with a group of dudes and just one female there. You know, at least if you want to have a woman there, add another one. You know, it might make the conversation more interesting. Because for her to say that Camron and Mase may have possibly hooked up with an under 18 escort from a slaughterhouse, that was completely irresponsible, Joe. Joe, that was irresponsible. But you don't care. You now want to stand up for black women, even though you've been accused of mistreating black women, which is very ironic. You males are some of the most hypocritical out there. And you're starting unnecessary beef that you should have stayed out of. That woman said that on your show, bro. All right? And now you want to come to the defense. But Camron, you know, he responded to it. And we're going to get into what Camron had to say. But let's see what Joe had to say. Joe Budden stood 10 toes down on his podcast. For his podcast co-host Melyssa Ford, in a recent episode of the Joe Budden podcast, Ford implied that Camron had relations with an underage prostitute around the time he admitted to a group session with Mase. Killer vehemently denied Ford's accusations on Instagram Live and on his podcast, along with threatening the former video victim with a defamation lawsuit. Ford refused to apologize for her comments on a recent episode of Budden's podcast. The titular host slammed the Dipset member, although he didn't mention him by name, calling Cam goofy. Budden added, I take the high road because I'm not engaging with any of you N-words out there. Let me make that perfectly clear. But Joe, you are engaging, sir. You are engaging. Joe, you're responding to what is being said. You are engaging in it. This whole, I'm going to take the high road. It's not working, bro. It really isn't. You're not taking a high road. You're defending a woman who has nothing to say on your podcast 90% of the time. Okay? That's what you're doing here. You're defending her and what she had to say. A totally irresponsible thing to say, but you're not going to hold her accountable. You're going to go at Camron because it's safe to go at other men. These guys like Joe Budden, they refuse to hold women accountable. Then he has the nerve to say he's taking the high road. What high road? What high road are you taking? Joe, you're a broken man who sits on a podcast, and you can tell how broken you are on that podcast. You should be holding Melyssa Ford accountable for what could be perceived as defamation, whether you know what that is or not, Joe. She said something very defamatory on your platform, and instead of you holding her accountable, you want to go at Camron because you think that's an easier card to play. You have her on your platform. I'm assuming you're paying her. This is why I tell y'all these men are weak. Guys like this are weak. And this is why I don't want women in men's conversations, especially when we're talking about those type of situations where men are hooking up with women, because you're always going to have that one dumb female that's going to make it about a man doing something inappropriate to a woman. That's where we're going to end up going with it. And this is why Joe Budden should stay out of it. Because I don't think Cam came at him, at least from the comments I've seen. I didn't see Cam going at Joe Budden directly or threatening him in any type of way. But Joe, if this is the hill you want to fight on, this is the wrong way of going about it. Now, I think Queen's Flip also responded to Camron. And let me tell you this. All this does at the end of the day, it helps It Is What It Is podcast. They are a fast rising podcast. They're one of the most fastest rising platforms out there. What Cam and Mase are building over there is something that is going to rival a lot of these top podcasts that you see from these guys, because they're authentic, they're real, but they're also doing sports. They're not doing, music. They took the other route and they're still finding success. Camron is a very talented guy who is successful at a lot of different things. Mase is highly entertaining. Mase is probably, Cam does a lot in that show, but I think Mase brings his own to the show as well. That's why they've been able to click as fast as they've been able to do that. And I could see Joe being a little envious of that. Let's be real about this. Y'all don't think Joe is a little envious of that? Whenever he sees a new podcast by former rappers, I think he gets a little upset inside, He continued, I don't do back and forths with none of you N-words out there. I don't do responding. I like to come in here and dictate. I dictate. I say what I need to say. I feel however you need to feel about it. And we just go our separate ways. I'm not trying to have a discourse. Well, you just turned this into a discourse. Budden asserted that despite inviting guests on his podcast, he isn't trying to relationship build with them, and that he supports Ford on all fronts. I feel like it's our jobs up here to check it, which we do with love. Budden indirectly responded to Cam. I don't give a F about none of these other goofy N-words out here and what they got to say. That bleep is performative and is shenanigans. Well, sir, look at the cast of characters you have on your show. Pure shenanigans. It's pure shenanigans. Let's look at what Cam had to say. Cam posted this video. This is a clip of what Joe Budden had to say, along with something else. As you can see in the cap, it says, looking bad and sad. This wasn't a wise decision. Move on your best. Move on, y'all best bet.
I'm liking the bad escorts. Going crazy. The cheap ones. Bitches be 50 and 500 pounds. You niggas in the comments writing shit. Stop playing with niggas up here. Honestly, I observed. I'm trying to be cool because niggas got relationships. But enough now. Enough.
Why am I so emotional?
And everybody in the comments talking about how he looked in that outfit. Listen. This all goes back to your co-host. This all goes back to your co-host, sir. all goes back to what your co-host said on your show. Listen, if I have a female co-host, which I would never bring a woman like that on my platform who would say something dumb like that. I don't deal with dumb women. But if I had a woman on my show that said something like that while we're having this discussion about what Camron and Mase, first of all, why are you discussing what Camron and Mase said on their anyway? And she says something like that, she's gonna get checked immediately. Now, if she did, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but it looked like there were guys that disagreed. But did Joe have this energy for her that he has for Cam all of a sudden? Bro, anybody that's on your platform that can make it very difficult for you to operate as far as dealing with people trying to sue you or saying that you're saying defamatory things about them, you have to check that behavior there. You're acting like Camron is just attacking this woman for no reason. That's not what's going on here. He is not attacking Melyssa Ford for absolutely no reason. There's a reason why he's doing this, and it's because of what she said about him. And I think Camron have every right to defend himself. He has every right to. You may not like it, Cam, but too bad. I mean, I like it, what Cam had to say, Joe, but too bad. She's on your platform. She could get you sued, brother. All right? Listen, I shouldn't have to tell people this who should already know this. Even me as a content creator, even though I'm not on camera yet, I know I have to vet the people that I bring on my platform if I'm gonna be doing a show with them, and I have to know that person is not gonna make me look bad. It's not gonna get me sued, flagged down, lose money, right? Maybe he said he didn't think Melyssa Ford could do that. But when you're having those type of discussions, especially about what Cam spoke about on his show, you know women like this are not gonna like it. I'm not saying that, she shouldn't say anything on it, but say something intelligent that doesn't get your boss sued. That's the minimum of what she should do. But Joe, I understand. Maybe you have a soft spot for her. That's why she's there. But bro, she works for you. And this not a good look. You can make fun of people in comment sections or whatever, but at the end of the day, Joe, you got your shield up, ready to defend a woman who would leave you in a second for a better opportunity. So let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Like this video and share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll see y'all next one.